In part 1, I repaired the broken PC board for the jack panel, and now in this part, number 2, we're going to look at the problem with the loading mechanism. I believe the problem is just a couple pieces that are broken off of the front loading mechanism, so we're going to take that apart and see if I can get that going, and then we'll find out if this unit's going to play a tape. I already know that there's capacitor issues in the video board, but is there any other issues that we haven't found yet? Let's find out. Welcome back to my work on my AG DS850. This is a professional Panasonic Super VHS machine. As you saw in the prior video, I got the input board. This unit came to me by way of a donation from a viewer, and he bought it, and it had been damaged in transport. But as we found out on the last video, after me spending half a day basically repairing the board in the back, because as you already have seen, it had 2 breaks, and it actually had 3 breaks in the board. So I got that all fixed. I've got video looping through it now, but then we found that there's a problem on this video board here. We've got a bunch of capacitors that are bad on here, on this board. But before I go and commit myself to buying a bunch of parts, I want to see if I can actually get this thing to thread up a tape. And it also is not accepting a tape. So this video, we're going to take this thing apart and take the front loader out and see whether I can get the front loading mechanism to work. Because this machine was abused, it was dropped. But it's a beautiful machine. I actually looked at buying a couple of these when I was in the business. I never did buy one of these Panasonic editors when I was in the business because I was shooting with Betacam. So I had the SLH F1000 editor for beta format, and I had a Betacam player for my Betacam camera. So I was doing everything on beta when this machine was out, but I would have loved to have had one of these. These are wonderful machines, and this would have been a ridiculously expensive piece of equipment when it was current. Just getting the screws out so that I can pop the front panel off a bit here, and then I can should be able to remove the basket and see what's wrong with it. As I've stated on previous videos, these machines were definitely designed with the servicer in mind. Now this is one of those stupid Panasonic ones which, if you're not careful, they fall apart. Now, there's a couple of screws down here I got to pull out. A couple of red screws. And this is one of those baskets that I think it's driven by the main loading motor. Oops, just dropped a screw into the bottom. It's always a good place for it. I'll have to retrieve that later. Lift out the wires for the cassette in switch. I've now dropped 2 sets of screws that I'm going to have to retrieve. You'll see why. But I might even have one of these mechanisms. In fact, I'm pretty sure I do have a couple of these mechanisms. There we go. This is one of the ones that's got the timing gear. But anyway, let me take this thing apart and see whether I can fix it. And there's one of the screws I dropped. Oh, is this broken? This plastic might be broken. Ah, that's why. This plastic piece is broken off the front of this mechanism. And the other screw that I dropped down here somewhere, see if I can find it. I just had the biggest bloody wasp I've ever seen in my life flying around in the shop here. I don't even know how it got in here because my door wasn't open at the time. And I used this thing on it. Now, you guys know what this thing is. Well, it generates major sparks. And you know, I used that thing on this wasp and it didn't do a bloody thing to it. I didn't even knock it down. The thing got pissed off at me and was trying to attack me. So I opened the door and ran out. It was pissed. Like I hit it twice with that thing. It didn't do a thing. It just sparked, and it didn't do a bloody thing. The wasp just bounced off it. Now that thing, use that thing on a fly or a mosquito, and the thing is like you've got pieces of mosquito exploding, right? This big bloody, and it was definitely a wasp. It wasn't a bumblebee or a honeybee or anything. It was one of the just traditional yellow jackets. But this thing was good size, and that stinger did nothing to it. Okay, let me take a look at this basket and see if I can make some sense of this. It's coming apart. So, let's see if I can put this back together. Snap that in there. Okay, that looks like that part's working. Now, I just got to figure out where that little plastic lever, which is over here, goes. And let's try and glue this thing together if possible. I don't know if I'm going to have any luck. I may have to go and see if I can find another basket and another machine. Be nice if I could get this one actually functional. This piece that's broken looks like it goes. It looks like it goes right here on the front. I think it broke off right from there. It's the lever that opens up the tape when you load a tape. And as the tape goes down, it kicks open the tape. I don't know how well this is going to glue with JB Weld, but I'm going to try to glue this piece. Well, this is the lever, and this is the piece that's broken off of that lever, and it goes together. I need my magnifier to see this thing. This is terrible. This goes together like that. You can see which way it goes. That goes on just like that. Now this is made out of this crappy white plastic shit that, pardon my French, that Sony was so good at using. It's just terrible stuff. It's very brittle. And this little spring is what pulls this lever down. But I might be able to splice this together. But you can see there's the little mark there, the little. So that goes together like that. If I were able to stick these together and fuse them together, and I'm thinking with heat, melt the pieces back together, I might be able to make this thing work like that. We'll melt it together on all the four sides, and maybe that will hold it. I mean, after all this does is just pop the lid open, right? So if I get this thing fused well enough, get enough plastic melted together, it might just give me enough strength to hold this thing. And then I'll just get some JB Weld, and we'll put some JB Weld over the seam here where I've glued it, because see, that is actually quite strong. That'll probably hold, you know. I mean, I'm giving it a twist and it's not popping apart. I bet you that's going to hold it. Let's just put that thing back together and see whether it does anything. So this piece just slips in place like this. It snaps in place. This cog runs through this track. So the cog goes into the track like that, and that just snaps down like that. Come on, go in place. Snap in there. Like that. And then the spring is attached to this little tab right there. So we'll attach that spring back on there. That is how that goes on. So how it works is when the tape goes in, this follows, as the tape goes in, this lever follows the track, and as the tape goes down, I have to release a catch here for this. I believe it's this one. Yeah. If the tape goes down, that's what stops this from going in. It stops the basket if you try to push it in. There's no tape in it. It'll stop you from pushing the tape in. When the tape releases this goes down and follows down like that, and as it drops down, it allows the tape lid to lift. So that's what that does. And then as it comes out, this is what locks and releases the tape. So as the tape is being pushed in, it's what lifts this little lever here. You can't, that little lever there. As the tape is going in, that little lever pushes up, and that's what pushes the tape lid up out of the way. The spring down on the tape pushing this in holds this up, right? As it goes in, this is the tension of the spring that closes the lid on the front of the tape, holds that down so that it can kick it up out of the way. So the tape goes in. As this slides in, it pushes up like that, and then the tape catches on this other bar as it drops into place, and that's what opens the lid to the tape. So that should be working now. Now I still have to fix the, where is it? The plastic tab is broken off that holds the housing in place. When I took out the screw, this fell off. That little tab here, this little plastic tab, needs to be glued back on to here. So we'll turn this over. That needs to go back on there. I can do that with JB Weld. So let's get some JB Weld mixed up, and I'll get this piece reattached, and then I can try putting the basket back in. So I've got some JB Weld here. We mix the two pieces together until it turns gray. What JB Weld is it's a very good quality hard epoxy, and it's got bits of metal in it, so it makes it very strong. Okay, got the JB Weld mixed up. Let's see if I can get this thing to stick together. I'm going to put some on the surface here that I need to put together, and only on the surface. I don't want to get any into the track here or anything, so I'm just going to put some on the surface, and then stick the two pieces together, and we'll hold it for a few minutes until it sets up. It only takes a few minutes to set up. Then I'll let it dry for a while. I'll just put some more down the side here just to reinforce it. Okay. Let that set for a while. And then we'll try putting this thing back together. To give you an idea how good JB Weld is, my car keys, the little metal piece that holds the key on the key ring, broke in 2000 and trying to remember what year, 2014, when I was down in Las Vegas. This actually popped off and I almost lost my keys. And I glued this, 3 years ago with JB Weld. Still holds. So stuff lasts. It's really strong stuff and it lasts a long time. Cat came in for a visit and she's not too happy. Oh, she's growling. The other cat's in here and they're not getting along these days, are you? You're not getting along, are you? Not happy. Not happy at all. After they had their little battle the other day, they are not on speaking terms with each other. They can't even stand to be in the same room. This one was sitting in here when I was repairing this machine, and the other one walked in the door. Ow, I'm gonna get scratched here. Not happy. She can't even see the other cat, and but she knows he's in here, and she's not too happy. The other one's down there somewhere. I don't dare put the cat down because there'll be a fight if I put the cats down. So I'm just trying to contain this one. That looks as good as new. Nicely glued in place, and it's going to be strong. I've left it dry there for quite a while, so I'm going to get the deck back and we're going to attach the front loading mechanism back in it and see whether it works. The nice thing about this particular machine is it has separate motors for the take up and supply, and if you look down over here, which requires bringing the camera in a little closer, but it's using an optical sensor for the back tension. So there's a little lever here that interrupts this optical sensor as the tape tension is applied. So that operates a servo which controls the torque on this motor for back tension. That's how they regulate the tension on this. There's no mechanical band like well, I should say not most, all consumer machines. All consumer machines used a felt pad that was pulled against the supply hub by a spring, and the tension was regulated by the action of a spring. And it choked a band around to slow down and provide the back tension. On these professional machines, they don't even think they have a brake on here. They use the motor as a brake. Same with this one. It's a separate motor, I believe, on this side too. Anyway, I got the screw back out that I said to tip it over. Mechanism just drops back in place like that. We just have to make sure that the gear meshes correctly. Now there is a timing mark on this gear. And timing this is the same as it is timing any of the other Panasonics. Okay, that's what loads it down. We just turn the loading motor back here, and we bring our timing marks back so that our timing marks are lined up. There's a timing mark right there. So that should be, I believe, the correct position for this to go into place. And I'll just put the screws down and hold this in place, and then we'll test it. Okay, I'm just working the mechanism through by hand now. I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to pull this pin out of the way. Allow this through here. There we go. It goes down. It drops all the way down like that. That's good. Now I'll just run it the other direction by hand. Make sure it comes up all the way. It does, it ejects. When I put the tape in, it loads. Are we going to get a picture on playback though? Okay, it's playing. It's playing. Are we going to see a picture? That I don't know. Video hasn't started yet. Okay, let's fast forward. As you can see, this machine goes to a half load. Okay, so the transport's working, but as you can see, I don't have a picture. Servo's locked up. Time code is counting. If we can look at the time code counter here, well, this is frame counter, but I'll lower the camera down here. But we don't have a picture. I don't know whether it's just the heads are clogged or what. Let's just try the old thumbnail trick. I don't see anything there. And we may have still video problems on this thing. Let's see here. Video level, time-based corrector. Setup, chroma level, hue. I wonder if the TVC is not working. Setup menu. I got sound. I can see the sound on the VU meters, but I'm not getting a picture. But that all may be related to this video board problem too, right? One thing you gotta like about this is the hours, minutes, seconds, and frames counter on here. This is the Super VHS tape that's playing. I'm not getting any output though, so I'm sure it's probably the same thing that's causing the color bars to be all distorted. It's all those bloody capacitors on the video board. But now that I've got the front loading mechanism working, and the transport's working, and the input-output board is working, I'm going to get the capacitors and we'll start recapping this thing, and I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get this machine up and running. Hopefully the heads are okay. We can check the output of the heads. It's got sound. The sound meters were working. Just figured out something on this machine here. Take a listen to this. I'll put the headphones up here. Play. This tape's recorded in the EP speed, and this machine is an SP only deck. There is no LP or EP speed on this, so it's playing the tape at SP. I was wondering, why am I not getting a picture? Well, let me go find a tape that's recorded in SP and see whether it plays that. Okay, we have sound. We still don't have any video, but it is playing sound now. So let's hook up the scope and see whether we've got an RF envelope. But I do have some RF. Turn the tracking control, you can see it goes down. It's not a lot of RF, but it might be. I'm just taking measurements off this bad video board. But I am getting sound. So I think that probably we're getting a signal off of the heads here. It's looking for the head, the preamp, so I can debris down there from the head cleaner. It's looking for the output from the preamp so I can scope that directly. I'm just going to let this thing play for a bit and just see whether that video board comes back anymore as these capacitors warm up in here, and see if I actually can get a picture off it. I'm going to have to change the caps anyway, but I think what we'll do is I'm going to close this video off now that we've got the mechanism working. and it plays, but we're not getting a picture. As you can see, I've just got a frozen picture there of a bunch of noise. Color bars are, of course, you can see they're coming a little more stable. They're still incorrect, but we've made some progress on this thing. But I think our problem still is we've got a bunch of bad caps on this thing here. Might even have a time-based corrector problem, but we'll leave it at this, and we'll do a third part when I get the parts and we can recap this board. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this look at this part 2 of this professional VHS machine, the AG DS850. So I'm going to leave it at this for now, leave it at this point for now, and we'll pick up again once I get a bunch of caps, and we'll start recapping these boards. Okay, just playing with the controls. I think the time-based corrector is working because I can change the hue of that frozen image. It looks like crap. And I can change the chroma level. So I think the TDC part's working. Video level, I can darken it down or brighten up this mess. So I have a feeling that the trouble is going to be on this video board. I'm just playing around with some of the settings here. Time code. Here's what we're up against on this thing. This is just one of the TBC boards, but I'm gonna have to probably recap the entire unit. I mean, look at the caps on this thing. I'll just take a few measurements, like this one here. This is a what is it, a 47? 47 at 6 volts. So 47 at 6 volts should be like 2.2 maximum. 18, right? This one here beside it, 9. This one over here, yeah. I mean, they're all bad. So I think in the case of this being such a high-end deck, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to take an inventory of all of these surface-mounted electrolytics on both the TBC boards. There's a bunch of them on this one too. You see, if I pull this one out here, just measure some more of these ones. There's another 47 at 16 volts. You know, that one's okay, 2.6. Well, it's getting up there, but there certainly are a lot that are bad. 47 at 16 volts, 4.9. Okay, it should be like 1.6. So, I mean, they're all bad. Every single one. Every one that I've tested is high. So, I think what I'm going to have to do is replace all of the electrolytics on this thing. I'll take an inventory of what I need, and I'm going to buy all the parts for it. Here's the video board we know is problematic. Just get the ESR meter out here again. Reset it. And I can just pick any one. Open. 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 Right? Every single one of these bloody capacitors, every one of them is bad. I haven't found one that's good. So, for part 3, I'm going to take inventory of all the parts. I'm going to make a parts run. I'm going to get a big box of capacitors, just buy a ton of these things, and we'll replace all these surface-mounted electrolytics in the audio. Oh, I don't think the audio board's got it. It doesn't have any. Yeah, these ones have got conventional caps on the audio board, but the video board, the digital board, and the this one got any? I think one of these is going to be the linear audio, and it doesn't have any either. So audio 1 is the linear audio, audio 2 is the hi-fi audio. We're going to change all the caps on the video board and also on the video, digital, and C board, which is chroma. There's not as many on this one, but it still has some, so we'll change those as well. And because I'm going to be doing a lot of surface mount, I might even pick myself up a little hot air station just to make it a little easier to change these things. Anyway, that's for a future video. That one might be, don't wait for that one, because that one might be a while before I do it. But definitely, I really would like to get this thing back in ship shape, just because it's such a nice machine. So even though it's only got SP on it, I still would like to get this thing working. Then I can sell it, and sell it as a overhauled machine. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this part of the video, and we'll catch you for a third part down the road. Probably won't be that far down the road, but it'll be probably a few weeks, I think. I'm gonna have to order them. I'm gonna have to take an inventory of all the parts that I need, and then I'll order them in. I don't know if I can get them local or whether I'm gonna have to make a bulk purchase, but I'll order a bunch of them in, and we'll get this thing taken care of. Thanks for watching.